what happens is we don't listen to ourselves. Somewhere along the line, somebody said, don't listen to yourself. People pleasing stems from self-worth and what others, that also is a childhood thing, right? If you are
Yeah.
always maintaining other people's emotions and like always trying to keep a house happy and all that stuff,
Yeah.
like you felt like in order for others to be happy, you had to make them happy. And sometimes that was like at the detriment of your own self.
Calling all professional neurodiverse mamas seeking to reclaim their time, energy, and focus. I have a special invitation for you. The Simplified Schedules Mini-Course will help you to uncover the top 3 things your neurodiverse brain needs to slay your day and reduce overwhelm instantly. This is the one mini course you need to get your life together without quitting your job or leaving your family. You'll also be able to leave this course with an actionable plan to create that flow and freedom you so desperately deserve. So if you're ready to learn, take action, and create flow, then you can learn more at thecharmedlife.me/simplified me. Make sure to download your copy, tell a sister friend, and I'll see you there. Welcome to We Ain't Normal. My name is Charmaine Fuller, and I'm an everyday mom sharing how I navigate my ADHD brain. Each week, we share tools, inspiration, and resources to help you uncover how to reclaim your time, energy, and focus. So thanks for hanging out with me today. Now on to our show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to We Ain't Normal show. I am here today with my girl, my sister from another mister. Well, maybe my daddy was a Rolling Stone, but a sister from another mother at least.
Oh my gosh.
Elizabeth Lewis of Elizabeth Lewis Co. She is multi-passionate, but somehow she has kept all of those multi-passions running smoothly like a well-oiled machine. And I cannot wait for you to meet her. She is the most authentic, most fabulous, cuddly person, personality-wise, that you would want to meet and hang out with and work with. Elizabeth, tell us more about you a little bit, what you do. I can't wait to dig into what we're going to dig into today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Okay, so Elizabeth Lewis, here I am, owner. I really started my journey with Detroit Mom after being a corporate dropout and moving into this space of creating community and connection with moms. And back in the day, it was Detroit Mom's blog. So if you've been around, and then about 4 years ago, we moved into Detroit Mom. And then over the years, I've really discovered my passion and where it lies. It really led me to, I had 2 very traumatic losses, well, 3 actually, in 2018 that really led me to, not even 2, on a journey of self-discovery, but it wasn't instant. My mom passed in January. My dad died 6 months later with stage 4 lung cancer. And then we had a baby in October. And then one of my really good friends took her life in December, which really kind of pushed me into this really rediscovery of self, for like finding self or getting in tune with, awakening, like all those really good things. But it took me a while to get there, which actually led me to discovering human design. And human design. What are you going to say, Charmaine?
No. So I was thinking, like, that's how a lot of us come into this journey, right?
Yeah.
Is that there are things in life that happen around us that make us go, wait a minute, am I living at my fullest potential? Do I even love my life? Like, what the heck is going on here? And I was going to say, just from the little bit that we talked about before we got on about human design, is that could be a big reason, that was a big reason for a long time why I wasn't motivated, why I really wasn't motivated to do a lot of the things that I was doing in my business, because it wasn't in alignment with who I am.
No, it wasn't in alignment with who you came to be. Like, that's the beautiful part about human design. It is literally based on astrology, and several other components make up human design, but it is like your inner knowing. It is who you came here to be, who you strive to be, what you're here to do in this life. It's really, the best way to put it is out of your head and into your body. That's
Okay.
what human design does for you. It takes you out of your head where you're where you're safe and your ego is there really protecting you and puts you into your body where you're really feeling into situations. And I think the thing with most of us is we're so disconnected from body for so long. We're so disconnected, and it takes something really traumatic or life altering for us to kind of change the course and recognize like we can't continue to go on in the direction we previously were. And like you just said, your passion. So you're a generator. So we looked up her chart before she got on. She's a generator. Generators, I'm also a generator. I am here to literally do things that light me up.
Yeah.
Light me up. Like if you're not doing, okay, I want everyone on here to think about this. If you figure out your human design, which I'll send you some stuff, Charmaine, so they can do it in your show
Yeah.
notes. Yeah. And if 70% of the population, so 70% of the population is made up of generators or manifesting generators. If majority of those people are unhappy, what do you think the world looks like? Like, look at it right now. It's a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things. And when people are living out of alignment and not embodying the truest nature of themselves and living in this place of joy and happiness and all those things, because they are possible when you're doing what you really want to do, what lights you up, like everything changes for you. And you know that. You
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was for so long that, like, I've tried coaching in 90 million different ways. I've had groups, I've done one-on-one. And when I tell you, it feels like the life force is being sucked out of me. It
Wow.
does. But I love speaking and connecting with people, and I love being a resource. So that was one of the reasons why I started the podcast, was to show listeners like there are people out here that can help you.
Yeah.
Um, but let's talk about human design for just a bit, and let's dig into how it can help, like how it can help you to stay in alignment. First of all, get in alignment, because many of us think we're in alignment, but we're nowhere near alignment. How does that help someone get into or discover what their path should be, or where they need to start looking at going to next?
So, oh gosh, this is a lot of stuff here. But I think first and foremost, like there's 5 different types that you can be. So generator, manifesting generator are going to be your most, it makes up about 70% of the population. Those are your, like, that's your life force. Those are your energetic life force. Those are the people who have sacral energy, who can go, go, go all day long. Like they just have so much energy. Then you're moving into projectors, which make up a little over 20%. And they're really the thought leaders, and they don't have consistent energy. So if you don't pay attention to that stuff and really understand who you're surrounded with or who your kids are. So if you have a projector in a house of generators, because they don't have sacral energy, they're easily exhausted. Like I have a 22-year-old who I used to think was so lazy. I'm like, why can't she not just do what I ask her to do? Like, this is not hard. This is not hard. Like you were at school, like come home, pick up your stuff, all of this stuff. Like, what can't you do? And when I learned she was a projector and that projectors do not have consistent access to their energy, they don't house a sacral motor. So they don't have this desire or need to go, go, go. It changed our relationship where I was like, all right, can you imagine putting someone like that in school for 8 hours a day, and then they come home and you're
Yeah.
asking them to do all this stuff, right? And
Yeah.
so that's a huge piece. Like, and with projectors, they really want to be seen and witnessed, and they need time to rest and all that just to even replenish. And then we move into a manifester, which makes up about 9% of the population. And manifestors also don't have sacral energy. So a manifester is someone here that's really, really meant to be here to like shake the world up. Like they have these ideas, they can see things just like projectors. They can see things before other people can see them. They really can like look at a situation and be like, oh, I already know how that's going to pan out. And they already know how it's going to pan out. And so they can kind of take a step back. But the issue with manifestors is they've been made their whole entire life to be little. Like they have this boldness, this beautiful boldness about them. They're disruptors. They're really meant to be the thought leaders here, right? But everybody makes them feel little because, right, we have society that says, oh, as a child, you should be respectful and you should do this and you should act this way. When really that's not their purpose. They weren't meant to be here to just be quiet and silent. They're really meant to be here to disrupt and make a difference in the world. And then you move into reflector, which is the last type, which makes up 1% of the population. I've done hundreds of charts and I've met one reflector. One. 1% of the population. That's insanity. So if you think about that, obviously, one out of 100 people that you
It's
meet
a
is going,
reflector.
yeah. And so, like, those are just types. And then really moving into like, that's how you expend your energy. Then you're really moving into like, how, when someone asks you a question, how are you someone that is going to respond to that? Like, how are you going to respond to that? Generators and manifesting generators respond differently than, like, they have a different strategy. There's like so many terms here. I feel like we could talk about this forever. And even like we were talking about this before, Charmaine, is how she responds. So her authority, meaning like how she makes decisions. She's a gut intuition, with a gut intuition, which means she knows the answer right away. So the minute she's asked a question, she knows the answer. What happens is we don't listen to ourselves. Somewhere along the line, somebody said, don't listen to yourself. Like,
Wash it.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
no, this is the right way because every person thinks their way is the best way, right? And then as parents, if you could
Yeah.
think of like a list of things, right?
Yeah.
And so like you being a gut intuition, you automatically know. And you could probably think of a million situations where you're like, I knew it wasn't right for me, but I still did it because I thought it's what everybody else wanted me to
Yep.
do. And it
Yep.
was this people pleasing thing. And it led into all this stuff. And you felt like you had to do it. But really, if you would have listened to you and you would have fully trusted yourself and
There
know
would have
that,
been
yes,
so many situations that I would have been like, oh, hell no.
yeah, yeah, you wouldn't have done it because you would have fully trusted that your inner knowing knows what's best for you.
You
You
know, the
already know.
funny thing that comes up is that's come up in this season that I would say I love the synchronicities of all of the women that I have chosen to represent this season, but the time and energy thing. We
Yeah.
all have the same amount of time, but we don't all have the same amount of energy. And knowing how to use and work with the energy that you have is really what's going to allow you to stay focused, to get in alignment, to, do some of these things that you want to do and realizing it's not going to look like anybody else's. The other thing was on the Detroit Moms podcast, we talked about the
Mhm.
people pleasing piece. And this is another theme that keeps coming up as we talk about people who want to be motivated. Because I don't know about you, when I did work with clients, one of the biggest concerns was I just wish I could get motivated. Like I know what I'm supposed to do. I wish I could stay focused. I wish I could get motivated. And then you pull things apart for them. You go like, this is kind of why these things are happening this way. You know, but I found the people pleasing part to be big too in like my clients. It feels like it's a big thing with women.
Well, it's a self-worth thing. People pleasing stems from self-worth and what others that also is a childhood thing, right? If you are
Yeah.
always maintaining other people's emotions and like always trying to keep a house happy and all that stuff,
Yeah.
like you felt like in order for others to be happy, you had to make them happy. And sometimes that was like at the detriment of your own self. And so when you really sit back and analyze that, there are so many things like within human design, even that go to show like, okay, there are people, you ever met those people where like they don't struggle with self-worth issues. They know exactly who they are. They're just like so confident.
Yeah.
That's also something people are born with. That is not like you just don't wake up or live life and you're like, damn, I'm confident as fuck. Dang, girl. Like, you just don't like it depends on everybody's life history is so different. How we were raised, how our parents parented us. And this is where people really get to harness and empower not only themselves, but the people around them, when you can take time to understand how each person in your household functions, how your spouse functions, how your partner functions, how your friends function, how the people you work with function, it can change the game for you, because when you can understand and respect and see the people around you, and they can see you and accept you for who you are, who you came to this earth to be, not who they want you to be, your relationships will change. If you understand so and so doesn't have a ton of energy, right? You're going to respect that. If you understand that I need a couple days to think about something, that I'm not going to give you an answer right away, you respect that, because you can see somebody for who they are versus how society says we should all be, you know?
Yeah. So how does one tap into that innate sense of self-confidence that's already there? Because if you listen to most motivational stuff, they tell you this is something that has to be like, I guess it does have to be generated, but it almost makes it seem like you've never had it. So let me help you to create some. Like, how do we tap in?
I think there are, though. I've witnessed so many people on doing people's charts. There are people that have like an insane amount of confidence. Like they really do. And also, going back to, how were people raised? Like, what was your childhood like? Who are you surrounded with? If you were surrounded with people that always made you feel like you weren't enough, or you weren't worthy of something, or your parents never thought what you did was good enough, of course you're going to grow up into an adult and really wonder what the hell's wrong with you, you know? So I
Yeah.
think that this is where it's it's on you. It's this radical responsibility to literally learn about yourself, do the inner work, really dig in, like, who are you versus what society tells you you should be, or who you think you are, and really digest that. Who are you? How do you best make decisions? Where do you see your shadow? Because like shadow work's a whole nother thing. Yeah, like even within human design, there's shadow work, right? Like there's times we're in our wisdom, who we are in our wisdom, and then there's the shadow side of us. And so the beautiful thing about shadows, though, like we learn the most about ourselves from our shadows.
Yeah.
And that is honestly the scariest part. And so one thing that I think people could really do in this situation is first learn about themselves. The best place to start in building that confidence and really growing is honestly learning about you. How do you best make decisions? What do you love? If you're a generator and you're doing things and you're people pleasing and always saying yes to everything that comes in front of you because you think there's not going to be another opportunity, you need to reevaluate that and really sit with, like, what do I really want? What makes me happy? What things would I enjoy doing versus why do I have to do this because it's going to make somebody else happy? Or again, going into the people pleasing, because it's so easy to do when we aren't listening or in tune with ourselves. And to be able to sit with oneself to learn that stuff is some of the hardest work you will ever do.
It really is. And it's not pretty. It's definitely
Mm-mm.
not comfortable. But this entire season has been about doing the work. Like, motivation is great, right?
Yeah.
But you got to be willing to go and dig in order to create real change. Doing that inner work is not the easiest thing to do. And actually sitting with yourself to dig in
Like deep. I mean,
deep. I
deep.
mean, deep, deep. Not
Mhm.
just, oh my gosh, I'm going to take a weekend and I'm going to sit with a journal and it's going to be great. No, this is like all of the guests. If you've been listening to this season, this is the reoccurring theme. You are not going to do this shit in a weekend. Let me tell you,
Mm-mm.
girl, this is not going to be a weekend project. This is going to be, you get a download, you do some
Mhm.
journaling, you shed some tears, you cuss God out, and then you go, okay, everything is great. And then something will trigger you that will bring you back deeper into the rabbit hole. I don't know if that's been your experience, but that's been mine, where you think everything is good. You've uncovered this pattern, you're moving forward, and then something triggers you that's a bit deeper in the layer. And then you have to go back in. And I find that it's been this consistent pattern of having to go back in, although it's not always as gut wrenching as it was the first couple of times. But as I go back in, I'm peeling another layer off. I'm peeling another layer off. Like it's not this quick. It's not. It's just not this quick process.
No. And honestly, another thing I own a business called Retreat to Reclaim, and we help women reclaim this version of themselves and live their most whole and alive, free self. And that is doing the work. Like we have a day retreat coming up and women will literally walk in one woman and they will leave a totally different woman.
Wow.
And it's because of the things that they uncover about themselves, like breath work in itself. Like, I mean, transformative breath work. I'm not talking like everyday breath work, right? Which
Yeah.
everyone should be doing because our breath is the most important thing that we often forget. Like, that really can bring us back to ourselves. But this is like transformative breath work. And it will like push you to like the deepest depths of like things that are happening within you, things that you didn't even know were happening within you. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have to share this. And when we go around in a circle and women are sharing literally the deepest parts of themselves, my best friend being one of them, who has held a secret in for the last 15 years that she has never told anyone, not even her husband, nobody knows this, mom, nothing. She shared it in a circle of 20 women in a space that she felt so safe and compelled to share in order to feel the relief that she felt because she'd carried this burden for so long, like a heavy, heavy weight.
Yeah. This society doesn't make it easy to connect to one's body. There is so much available for us to disconnect
Oh my gosh.
and numb out, that breath work and actually feeling your body and feeling the air and hearing just the tick 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 of what, like, being that present takes support,
Hmm.
and it's life changing.
Oh my God.
It's
Uh,
like it's yeah.
I'm a year and a half in, and I literally have just scratched the surface. 6 rounds of ketamine threw me into this like year's worth of work. Like,
Yeah.
it will shake you the minute you start doing it. When that moment happens, when you're like, I am done, I'm not living my life like this anymore. It's like this world of all the things open up. Like, I went
Yeah.
to a women's circle yesterday. I was like, you guys, I just feel so good. I'll tell you what, I woke up this morning and I was like, I miss my mom. Even though I had one dysfunctional relationship with her because she had a lot of mental health issues, I miss her. And I had this moment where I was like, gosh, how is it that we can go from riding so high one day to the next day just feeling like the world is caving in on you, where everything doesn't feel like, nothing feels right, like everything feels so disconnected. And I literally got out my little meditation pad, got out my cards, lit some candles, some incense, and I literally just brought myself back to my body with breath. And I was like, you are safe. Like, you are safe. Yes, you miss your
Yes.
mom. Like, recognizing that, and also recognizing like, my mom is with me every single day. We have a better relationship in death than we ever did when she was alive, because she had her own shadows, her own demons, and I just never knew about them. But her mental health issues, I knew about her mental health issues, which she fought her whole entire life. But here's the thing: when you're the daughter, you don't understand it because
No.
you haven't walked it,
Yeah.
and you don't have as much compassion, right? And kind of circling back to human design, I swear to you, I have more compassion for myself now and for every single person around me than I have my whole entire life, because I can recognize how uniquely designed we were. Like, we're taking our kids out of school next year. We're traveling the whole entire year. And you want to know why? What I recognize through human design and just life in general. One, why wait? What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Like, the only thing that can happen is I fail, I learn something from it, and that's that.
Move on. Yeah.
Yeah, then I move on from it. But why are we putting our kids in a school, the same school? Does and this I really have this question, is like, our kids are all uniquely different. They're all designed so differently, but we put them in school for the same amount of time every single day to follow the same exact curriculum as the person next to them.
Yeah.
And we wonder why our kids are just so zoned out with,
Stressed out.
yeah, or why they have behavioral issues, or why, like, how about this? How about kids that come from a really good home life and you're like, what is wrong with them?
Yeah.
Stop blaming it on you, like there's something wrong with them, something's off. No, it's how they were designed. Like, it's how, when can we accept and really normalize that it's okay to be exactly who you are?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? Why do we have to be someone else? I've spent my entire life people pleasing, trying to be somebody else, when really, when I took a step back, I'm like, I'm a pretty badass chick. Like, and I can be myself. Like,
Right.
I don't have to be someone else, and I can empower women and inspire them to really live in this authentic space of themselves, like with who they are based on who they were come here, who they came here to be. And I think this is where women go is they don't know what their purpose is or where to find it because they
Yeah.
live under the expectation of
Of
everybody else around
mom,
them.
wife,
Yes.
daughter, niece.
Yeah.
One of the things that an answer to what you were kind of saying is it's the paradigm. Like, it's the hunter, I guess the hunter gatherer in us. Like back in the day, we're cavemen, we're doing,
Mm,
you had to be like everybody else or you were going to die, right?
yeah.
And I think that's kind of innately programmed in us to where is if you don't follow the rules, the tribe will disown you and you will be left out to fend by yourself with the saber-toothed tiger.
Oh,
And telling yourself, like I had a similar conversation with myself, you're safe. It is safe to express joy. It is safe to, X, Y, and Z.
it's okay to be sad.
It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have a wide range of emotions. And that's what that's what it feels like to me is that a big part of how we show up and how we be is based on what we think everyone else wants so we can stay a part of the tribe and stay safe when in actuality it's not creating safety in us. It just creates more fucking anxiety
Yeah.
because you're like, this is not who I am. But if I don't be like them, then I won't be accepted and nobody will like me and then I'll be left out to die. When
Yes.
that's not true anymore.
And it creates sadness in us. And then we wonder
Yes.
why.
And resentment
Yeah.
and it's just a wide ranging of emotions. And it's like, just be you
Mm.
and learn who that is. Because yeah, it's easy to say be you, but if you've never explored it, then you're just going to end up doing the same thing that you were doing for the past.
Yeah, and that made me just think of something. We expect that we do something one or two times and it's going to change our lives.
Repetition is the mother of
Yeah.
mastery.
It's like little things that you do every single day. If you're someone who gets out and you walk, like we live on a cul-de-sac, say I go outside every single day and I plant my feet first in the ground, take a deep breath, feel into like my surroundings, and I walk the circle once or the cul-de-sac and then I go back inside. I do that every single day. That habit every single day. Then it's not a habit anymore. It now becomes this thing that's not, it's in my life.
Lifestyle.
Like, yeah, that I don't even have to think about. And I think that's where we get lost is like, you hear so many people out here do this to change your life, do this, but it's like, just take one thing, just one thing. This doesn't have to be something
And
you
you
don't
don't
have to
have to be
go.
perfect.
No, no. And you don't have to go do 6 rounds of ketamine to find yourself, right? You don't have to go do ayahuasca in the woods or, do mushrooms or something like that. Like that is helpful. I'm not going to lie. Like that's will take you to the next level, but you don't have to do that stuff to find yourself again. And also surround yourself with people who also want to do the same. Surround yourself with people who want to be better, do better, who want to live their most authentic life, not people who are going to look down on you when you're
Yeah.
getting better, when you're like, yes, like I'm feeling so good. I'm, like really be in the space of like being so proud of yourself, like being proud of this goes back, right? To like self love, to like, all of these different things. It really goes back to this place of like really finding yourself in those spaces and being okay with the duality.
Of who you are.
Yeah. The happiness and the sadness, like they can't coexist.
Yeah. You don't have to always be one or the other.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a message that we get a lot too as women, as humans in this space is that either you've got to be all in on happy or you got to
Hmm.
be all in on being pissed and angry all the time. Like you can't feel happy one moment or sad the next because then you're crazy.
Yeah.
No, you're normal.
Yeah. You're so normal. You're like uber normal.
We were designed to feel a range of emotions throughout the course of our day.
Yeah.
And I think trying to pigeonhole ourselves into being positive all the time, I had we having not a conversation, but a language shift. So it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
necessarily about being positive or is this thought positive? Is this thought helpful? Because you can have a negative thought that's hella helpful, or you can have anger that is helpful. It's helping you to, break through something. So it's like, is it helpful or is it unhelpful? Okay, well, if
Hmm.
it's unhelpful, let's shift it. But if this is helpful anger, like anger is okay in a way, used in a way to support you, or are you just like pissed off over something? Like, do you keep just pulling something back and forth in your head? Like, which one is it?
Yeah. Well, people like to live in this. Okay.
Loop.
Yes. And you know what? Society, I was just telling this to someone yesterday. I was like, society, think about it like this. When you're negative, when you're unhappy, when you have some bad shit happening in your life, society's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like everyone condones and like really feeds into like bad shit happening.
Yeah.
But when you're riding high and you're like, God, life is really good.
Oh,
How
that
many
won't last
people,
long.
yeah, exactly. How many
What you
people are
so happy
actually
for?
cheering you on? Yes. Yes. And this is where you have to evaluate too. If I ever talk shit about someone, if I ever, I'm telling you, I'm so conscious of it. It is literally me going like this. Oh,
Yeah.
why are you doing that? What does she have? What is she doing that you don't have that you feel like you can't have? So you feel it necessary. Like whenever we do that,
It's
it is literally,
projection.
yes.
Yep.
But that's about taking accountability. And majority of society does not take accountability for their actions. They want to blame or push it over to someone else. That's their fault. That happened because of them. I believe this because of someone else. No,
It's everything
again,
is on you.
yeah, radical
Everything.
responsibility. This is where
Yeah.
you get to take it back. Who can you control? You,
You. Yep.
nobody else. And if they're not supporting you or cheering you on, bye bye. Like that's where we also, the people pleasing stops and we get to make a choice. We are the directors in our own lives.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
we have the choice, you know? So it's like,
Taking that power back feels so good.
yeah, it does. It's like it literally the first time that some of when my mentor clients, whenever they tell me they did something for the first time, whether it's not apologizing in an email or telling a boss, like, over explaining. Okay. When you have to take your dog to the vet and you're like, it's a paragraph later and it's like, so I'm not going to be at that meeting today. I have to take my dog to the vet because he ate a piece of my underwear and it's stuck in his intestines and it's halfway hanging out his bottom or like whatever the case would be like. So you're telling this whole story. Your boss is like, what the hell? Like, what is going on? But really at the end of the day, all she had to say was, I am not going to be at that meeting today. I will catch up with someone later. Like, why do we feel like we have to over explain everything? And when my clients get that and when they can celebrate that. So when they come to me and they're like, guess what I did today? And they are so proud of their self or setting boundaries. Like people think boundaries is a joke, but the minute you
No.
start doing it, your life will be like, oh my gosh, where's this been? And I hope when people listen to this or podcasts in general that are really about motivation and inspiration, that really you feel inspired and not overwhelmed because it's really, really easy
Yeah. To want to do
to,
all the things.
yeah, to come to the space of like, okay, I want to do all of this stuff. But then when one thing doesn't work or you try it for a couple of days and you're down on yourself and you're back to square one when really what it takes 21 days to create a habit.
Actually, more than that.
Is
So,
it?
so if you think about it for real, and how our, excuse me, and how our life works, especially as moms,
Yeah.
I might get up and meditate this morning at 5. But if I have somebody that's sick or that has thrown up the night before, I'm not getting up tomorrow morning to meditate. I don't care what the guru said. I need to get some sleep so I can function. So I miss a day. And so on average, we're not like the habits. I know you're supposed to do them every day, but
Well,
honestly,
who
we
said you
don't.
have to do it in the morning?
Right. Well, see, yeah, that part too.
Mm-hmm.
But still, even if you don't do it every day or you miss a day, it could take longer than 21 days. Or if it's a
Yeah.
habit that's not an everyday habit, then it could take longer than 21 calendar days.
Yeah.
Calendar days, like when I was teaching my kids laundry, that's just a weekend thing every 2 weeks.
Mm.
It took us months.
Mm. I don't even know what to say to that.
It
My
took
kids
us
don't do theirs.
it took us months. Well, me and my husband don't do ours, but the kids do theirs.
I know. I love that. You do that?
Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's being okay with it taking longer than 21 days, being okay with it taking longer than 30 days. The goal is to not give up, is to continue to be persistent and consistent, however long it takes you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes for some of us, that day time frame freaks us out. So don't count days. Just, you know, I have a full focus planner and I just tick off the days that I've done it, not from a sense
Okay.
of counting days, but if I have a week with 7 days in it and 5 out of the 7 days I've done my morning routine, winning.
Yeah.
you know, or even if I've went from doing 0 days and now I'm consistently doing 1 to 2 days a week, that's a win. And being able to see that build up and celebrating your buildups versus looking for the, oh my gosh, I did 30 days of X, Y, and Z. And then after it's done, you give up because you're like, okay, I've done the 30 and I'm done. You're building a habit and a lifestyle and not just trying to check off that you've reached the 21 or 31 day mark. And that's just how
Yeah.
I look at it.
It's a celebration. I think,
Yeah.
even like something you were just saying, like even going back into the self-love, right? If every day you stood in the mirror and you just stared at yourself and you're like, God, I love you.
Oh,
I'm so proud of you. Just and it's sometimes really hard actually for majority of people if you really haven't started practicing it. Like it's really hard. Like a lot of people cannot look themselves in the mirror and be okay.
yeah.
I'll
That
tell
was,
you what. No, tell me what were you going to say?
no, I said that was a learning experience for me to look at
Mm,
myself in the mirror, in the eyes, and like lock eyes with myself and say
really?
that, yeah, because at first I'm like, I would shift my gaze.
Okay.
I could say that I was, a baddie without looking in the mirror, but to actually look in the mirror and believe it
Yeah.
and not just say it was but it was a shift. It was like the biggest shift ever. And it helped me to stand more in my power.
Oh my gosh, that shocks me about you because I see you just like it when you say that, like it's so interesting. More, this is where like you never know what someone's walking through, right? The more
Yeah.
you learn about somebody, like I just see you as this like just strong, confident, like knows exactly who you are woman. And so when you say that, like you couldn't even look yourself in the eyes. I'm like, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Like, right. And then that obviously like let's dig into some like childhood stuff like that all
Right.
that all stems from somewhere. But I think that
Yeah.
people listening right now, if you can just stand in the mirror and you know, I had a baby when I was 16. So sometimes like I have like that little scar, like I've had 4 C-sections. And so like I feel like I have this little pouch. And I used to stay in the mirror, I'd be like, oh gosh, why can't I just have like a completely flat stomach? I'm gonna tell you what, my husband knows when I'm feeling myself because I'm in that mirror with my robe. It is like half open, and I'm like, yeah. I'm just like turning every way. I'm like walking around the house, and he's just like, oh, okay, it's one of those days. And I'm like, yeah,
My husband does
because
that too. I'm like, hey,
yeah, like you're just feeling so good. And that's what I think you have to celebrate it. You need to let other people see it and like know that this is how you feel like and how good you feel.
especially your kids, to
Yes.
know that there's this range of emotions. That's one of the things that I do with my kids. Like, mommy is having a moment right now. I'm
Yeah.
sad, I'm angry, and I work on giving them the emotions. So I've had to work on my own emotions so I can give them the emotional
Oh my
piece.
Charmaine.
Huh?
That is like such a gift that you're giving your kids. So
So I'm trying to have them go to therapy over one less thing.
right. You know?
you
But that
know,
one less thing,
it's
like
so helpful.
yeah, like having your mom be able to say, okay, this is where human design also comes back in. Understanding your kids to know like how they function and how they not only expend their energy and need their energy expended, but how do they handle their emotions? What are their emotions like? Are they taking in everybody else's emotions? Like, are they their emotions? Like, there's so many things that you can do. And if you can raise your kids to, like profiles, you and I were talking about yours, you're the reluctant hero, which I could tell you so much about. But if you know your child is a certain way or like their personality type is this, if you could really hone that in and honor that for them, as their children, like I'm a 3-5. I'm the great life experimenter. If my mom would have said every time I made a mistake, man, Elizabeth, what did you learn from that? Like, I'm so glad you at least tried that because what did you learn? Not, oh my God, didn't work
You
out.
mess up
See, I told
again.
you. Yep, there
Yep.
you go. Or like, when I'm employing people and things aren't working, I'm like, all right, we're changing this. And type A people really struggle with this. And I had one person who worked for me that really just effed me up in a hardcore way that I still sometimes have a hard time getting past that because she was so type A and wanted things to go this way. But like my 3-5 now, knowing this now, I fully embrace it. But like, if I could have taught my staff that and then understood them and them understand each other and then them understand me, we wouldn't have so much friction and resistance because we'd be like, all right, I
Yep.
know that that's how it is. Like, I know that if things aren't working, she's going to change them. I know she's going to find the fastest way to do something because that's who she is. Like, you
Right.
have that. So, Charmaine, you have that too. You have a 5 in yours, and other people will see that in you. So, like, that goes into a whole thing, like your subconscious, your conscious, which we can't get into here because we'll be here
Yeah.
all night. But like, that 5 in you has to be so clear and concise with people. The 5 in you, because everybody thinks you can save the day. You come in with that 5, like, oh, Charmaine can save the day if you're not clear with someone on what you're going to do. I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to do this. If you are not clear, when they find out you're human, they're just
It's
like,
over.
they project onto you. And like, that's what happens to us. Is like, we can solve the problem. You and I are here to find the fastest way to solve a problem,
Yeah.
how we can support people. But the issue is society doesn't exactly accept that, right? They think you have to start from A and go to Z. Like, there's a process, but it isn't like that with everything. If you can accept that, if you can understand your kids in that capacity, like threes, the 3 in me, I have to experience life. I have to like literally experience why I'm moving my family. We're going to be in Thailand for a couple months. And we all like, yeah, like
I
all these
cannot
things,
wait to
right?
see the pictures.
And this is the thing. I have friends that have traveled. One person was like, yeah, it was great, but I didn't love it so much. I have another friend that said it was amazing. Here's the thing. I have to experience. Your experience is not mine.
Mine.
If my mom would have accepted that when I was young, I don't think that her and I would have fought the way we did, or I would have resisted her so much if she would have just let me be my own person and experience my life.
Isn't that the beautiful thing though now of being where we are, who we are,
Yeah.
and having the capacity and the ability to flip the script and remove some of that generational
Oh,
ick?
we are doing the work for our ancestors. We are
Most
here,
definitely.
right, to do the work for all the generations that came for us, especially the women that could not do this work. And they are up there right now. Like, I work with a psychic medium, and she's like, your mom is so proud of you because she could never do this work. She is doing, you know what it is? My mom is now doing the work alongside me, but in such a different capacity. But
Yeah.
not only that, right? We're doing it for generations, but we're passing that torch to the generations behind us and the
To
ones
elevate
in
it.
front of us. Yes.
I was talking to my bestie, and we were talking about the work that we're doing is so that our kids don't have to wait until they're like in their damned late 30s and 40s to go, oh my gosh, I need a life.
Yeah. Like, what happened for the last 40 years of my life?
That they can begin to have a greater sense of self and self confidence now that we were never really allowed to have,
Mm,
that sense of
yeah.
freedom that we were never really invited to have. And that was only because, I don't know about your mom, but my mom worked like full time. Like, she was
Oh,
always
yeah.
gone. So I was a latchkey kid. So I had to, like, she did not have time to mother on me,
Mm, mm,
So everything that happened for me allowed me to, have these great skills and hone some of these great skills. But, it caused other things. And it's like, so how do I repair me
mm.
and then give my kids a different trajectory?
I think they have to witness you and you have to take them along. Like, my kids
It
pull
took them
cards.
along. Yeah.
Yeah. They do breath work. Like, it's teaching our kids tools, like being out in nature, taking your shoes off, and you're like getting back to
Grounding.
your childhood roots. Yeah. Like, what did we used to do? Like, we would be outside running around barefoot, like doing all those things. When did we lose that, where we felt like we had to wear shoes all the time? We had to do all this stuff. We lost the sense of innocence and fun and just being a
High
kid.
school.
Yeah.
I don't know who says high school was like their
Oh my
best
God.
times. It's like high school was when I was just the most fake and just trying to fit in, because every time I was myself, they were like, oh my God, you're so weird. And it's like, okay, I don't want to be the weird girl.
That makes me sad.
I don't want to be the weird girl. So then I would show up in a way that I thought would get me accepted.
Yeah. I think
So
if you're raising girls, you really need to check that now. But it's not just girls,
Boys
it's
too.
boys. Yeah. Like
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
I,
'cause my son is 12 and it's like, dude, what?
yeah. And
Yeah.
this is where we as parents get to foster this. This is where we get to change. We don't
Have the
have to be,
conversations.
yeah, we don't have to be complete opposite of our parents. Like you never want to do that, right? We talked about this on
Yeah.
Filtered Mom. Like you go the complete opposite direction and you've just missed all these life lessons for your kids, right? Because you're trying to make up for what your parents didn't do, lost time, all this stuff. Like, really what I think about it is when we go a complete 360 with our kids, we're literally just trying to parent ourselves again.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you can
Yes.
recognize that, you're like, oh, I don't want it to be like this. And you really get to actually just say it starts here. And these are the things that I want to implement because this is what we fail to remember. Yes, our childhoods, a lot of people's childhoods were really messed up. Our parents did the best they could
With what they had.
with what they had, but it wasn't all bad,
No,
right?
it was
So
not.
why do we always find the really bad stuff instead of like kind of celebrating some of the really great things that we got out of being our children to our parents, Ugh. I just feel, oh, I feel like I could talk about that forever. The ancestral stuff is so cool to me.
Ah, so what is, as we wrap this up, I cannot believe like time has just.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh, this has been so great.
So what is your morning or daily routine that keeps you, and do you just keeps you focused and like in your alignment and in flow as often as possible? Like what are the things that you do to keep you on the level?
So I do have a practice called a practice because it's always a work in progress. Um, but I do have like a breath is a huge thing for me. So like I'll pull out my meditation pad and like my blanket and like my cards and I journal. But there are days like I came back from Costa Rica and just felt so off. Like just I had so much going on that I lost sight of that. And when I recognize, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to start doing my practice again because I feel better. Like the minute I feel off, I will tell you one thing I do in the morning. I always take my dog outside with no shoes on, like even in the snow. I take him out because like it's that
Really?
oh yeah, it's like that reconnection to earth, to nature, to the ground, like because the earth is energy. So like you walk
Yes.
out there barefoot, like you're just like I just feel it all. Like even when I take him out in the middle of the night and I just like look up at the moon and I just take this deep breath and just feel so much gratitude for this life and being alive, or like waking up in the morning. Another thing I do is just like look around and just be so grateful. Like pick three things I'm just so grateful for. But they're not always. And I teach this to anyone I work with. It's like a lot of times we need to give gratitude to ourselves. So I learned from a beautiful friend. Her name's Linnea. She does this whole self-love practice. And it's like, I am grateful for, and it's about you. I am proud of,
Oh,
it's
God.
about you. Um, I desire about you. I love, and it's about you. So like, it's like I am proud of myself for giving like giving myself time to really be slow this morning and not feel rushed in my day. Cause like I just fell off and I knew that me rushing into my day wouldn't benefit anyone. So like
No.
me being proud of that, right? Or I'm grateful for, the fact that I can really recenter myself by using my breath, like just different things like that. Like taking it back and like me utilizing all of these tools that I have learned or been given over the course of the last year and a half, like really embracing them, but learning to embody them has been like a huge shift for me. And here to say to you, like, these are not big things, like
No.
pulling cards and it could be like, let me show you this morning, this one that I pulled. Uh, it's from my business partner, Lauren. She created this deck. She co-created it with her son, who was a stillborn at 32 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So this one said, everything I desire is in my heart, and soon I will hold it in my hands. Like what I was working through this morning was that card pull was like exactly what I needed to hear. And so they're not the answer. Like it's not, the
No.
cards don't give me the answers. What they do
It
is,
just helps you dig
yeah,
intuitively more. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, they ignite this thing inside of you. And that's like, yeah, you knew the answer, or like dig a little deeper. Why do you feel like that? And so I think doing that, but I will say like one thing is just really being like every morning so grateful to take another breath because I don't have either of my parents here. So it's a constant reminder of like how short and how quickly life can change. It's just really taking that time to appreciate it, like be present.
Yes.
Like those aren't major things, you guys. I'm not out there Tony Robinson it up and just like up at 5 a.m. smashing my day. Like before 7, I've like done a ton of things. Like I'm listening to me. I'm listening to my body. I'm letting my body rest when it needs to. I'm doing all of these things and I'm doing them for myself and not for other people.
That has been the recurring theme this season, is having that sense of awareness, listening to yourself, listening to your body, knowing what works for you. That although I had Elizabeth share her routine and you've heard many other guests share theirs, it's about really trying some stuff on and then seeing what works for you.
Yes. It's
Because
different for everyone.
it's different for everybody. That's why I will not create a planner. It's like I don't even use one planner. I use about 3 because it depends on my mood. Like one day I might need this one. One day I might feel like I'm in this one. One day I might feel like doing index cards and walking around the house. It
Yeah. It ebbs and flows. And
it ebbs and flows, and I just let it do that. Yeah, this has been such a If you are interested more in human design, which you should be by this point, all of Elizabeth's information will be down below or on the side, wherever you're watching or listening, and the show notes. So make sure you grab it and you connect with her. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and it freed you to see your life a bit differently. Make sure to check out those show notes in the description for a full rundown of today's episode with all the important links and resources. If you want weekly exclusive episodes with me personally, make sure to sign up for my Simplify My Life newsletter. I'd love to know what you enjoyed about this episode, so leave a review to let me know how I can continue to support you. So Mama, I want you to know, you're doing much better than you think. You're further than you believe, and you're worthy to have it all. So until next time, stay weird and keep doing you, babe. Coming up next time on the We Ain't Normal show.
Your wants and your desires, if you're needing motivation to get through your want to do and I desire this list, then those wants and desires are likely not in alignment with what you really truly want, because you wouldn't be needing to motivate yourself to do those. You would intrinsically feel inspired to do it, and you would have a hard time not doing those before your priority or your should list.
Want more of this episode? Make sure your podcast notifications are on and you're a part of the We Ain't Normal family by going to thecharmedlife.show to get weekly podcast updates and notifications. I'll see you there.